welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Robyn and this is Heels Hive. On this channel, I create videos about heels dancing and I post videos every Sunday and sometimes on Wednesdays. In this video, I will share with you 5 tips that you can put into practice and take your heels dancing to the next level. I will first talk through the 5 things that I want you to implement, and then I will show you a few exercises where we actually focus into these things and you can put them into practice with me. You can do it first without the shoes and then with the shoes, or you can do it with the shoes from the get-go. And if you want to support me and my channel, you can always like and subscribe and share my videos with your friends or your students. Okay, the first thing that we're going to look at is the alignment with your ankles, your knees and your hips. So everything starts from the hip rotators. Wherever your hip is rotated to, your knee is going to follow because your hip joint is a ball in the socket, whereas your knee, you can only, what do you call this?
Hinge joint.
You can only flex it and extend it. And then we have a different joint in your ankle where it's able to do rotation, but also flexing and pointing it. So it all starts from the hip joint. If you are in parallel, which means that you are in a neutral position, your thighs are going to face forward, meaning that your knees should be facing forward as well, because we are only able to bend and extend our knees. The ankles, you need to have your weight on the second toe. But what I mean is that you need to have it in the middle of your foot. So not only on the big toe, because that's going to put a lot of pressure here on the inside, and you will be prone to develop bunions. You will be prone to develop bunions as well. So instead, you want to feel the weight on your whole foot, including your heel. So when we're standing in heels, our weight is shifted forward. So the whole package needs to come and align with your feet. However, I still have weight on my heels, so the ankles, they need to be in the same direction with your knees, but you are still able to do this little rotation in the ankle when you do not have any weight on the foot, okay? So when I have the weight on the foot, I will feel as if I'm pressing myself off the floor. So I'm not pronating or supinating. Instead, you want to stand in the center and feel that you're pushing away from the floor. So I'm in parallel, my thighs are facing forward, my knees are facing forward, my ankles are also in parallel, aligned with my knees. So if I would bend my knees, they would go exactly on top of my toes. So not inwards, not outwards, or my ankles are not doing anything crazy when I'm shifting weight from side to side. If you go into a turned out position, well, this is my full-on turnout, but I rarely use this whole range of motion in heels. It will be enough to have a little turnout. So as you can see, I opened my hips, meaning that I'm rotating from the sockets. My thighs are now facing into the corners and my knees will also go to that direction as well. My toes need to point to the same direction. The same thing applies. I won't collapse or supinate. I stay in the center when I have weight on my feet. If I would bend my knees, they're going to align with my toes. If I was facing to the side, you can see that I'm turning out from my hip socket. My toes are pointing the same direction. And now when I bend my knees, they're going exactly over the toes. So not inwards or outwards. That takes some practice to become aware of it, especially if you have some difficulties with your alignments from the start off. So for instance, I'm hypermobile, which means that I have flat feet because of that. So instead of having the natural arch on my feet, I'm actually hyperextended and my feet will fall flat to the ground. So if that's you, I encourage you to really feel 3 points on your feet pushing from the floor. Big toes, the pinky toes, if you're able to get them to the floor, or just the outside of the pinky toes. But I also feel the heel pushing from the floor, and this is just a mind-body connection that you need to build over time, and it gets easier when you get used to it. However, I think it is wise to start slow. So don't rush into things, even though other people will be doing that. You don't have to. Take your time and be really aware of what's happening in your body. If you have a mirror, use it to check your alignments.
And I am not a doctor. Go see a specialist if you have issues or pain.
Oh, one thing. So I did mention that you need to have neutral alignment with your ankles and knees when you have weight on the feet. So if you have been dancing heels or any ballroom Latin style of dance, or jazz even, you might be aware of this position called bevel, which is standing on top of one leg and then you have the other leg resting and covering the back leg. So I have no weight on this leg, therefore I'm able to rotate my ankle. So this is neutral. This is me really pushing my ankle to the side to create nicer alignment. But you can do it only when you don't have any weight on the leg. Same thing if you're here, you can still open the leg if you don't have any weight on it. Otherwise, if you do put weight on it, you may end up injuring this side on your knees because you're pressing away from your knees, so you're really putting a lot of pressure there, and we don't want that. We want to be safe and work in a way that is sustainable and healthy. So if we put that into practice, that would mean if I have a weight transfer from side to side, I would check that my feet are facing the same direction with my hip. And when I transfer over, I push away. So see, if I didn't do that, I would end up here because I'm coming over the leg. Instead, when you're shifting your weight, you need to think about actively pushing from the ground. So get here, and then you can close your foot. Push away and close. If you have been doing ballet or jazz, extend your leg to the side, shift your weight over, and as you're doing that, this will be your tendu coming back to center. We could do this in turned up position. So shifting over, and then you would drag the leg in. So that was technique tip number 1. You would actually want to implement that into your choreography, whatever you're doing. The next tip, and I feel like it is sometimes overlooked, you can always do more. When we say extend your knees, it definitely does not mean that you need to lock your knees when you're dancing. Instead, especially if you're hypermobile, when you're extending your knee, you need to think about pushing away. So not locking it, pushing away, because then you will still have active muscle work. And when we do that, there is this thing called counterbalancing and antagonistic muscle groups. So if I was to lift my leg up into a passé retrograde or to the side, rather than just grabbing my leg with these muscles, I actually think about pushing away to the ground, which will give me an instant lift on the working side. Yeah? So never lock your knees, instead think about pressing away from the floor. Now, when we do bend the knees, I encourage you to really bend your knees, because that's when you're going to create levels, dynamics in your dancing. Overall, your lines are going to look nicer. So we could bend our legs, extend, and this will carry on to the ankle that we just looked at. So not getting there, really pressing away. Now that I extend that leg, I get over to this side, and you can melt into your plie, aka bending your legs. Extending to the side, coming over, close, plie. Tip number 3 is going through the movement all the way. So if you have a teacher, they will have a different body type than you do. I have a different body than you do. We all have different mobilities and capacities that are available to us. So you need to figure out what is your maximum range of motion. I would rotate to the side. I can go here, or I can go even further. So what I want to challenge you to do is always go a step further. So if I would extend my leg to the side, I would really sit down, bend the legs and really press up. Now in this point, I would sit back to my hip all the way back. If I was walking, which you might have seen my other videos, I would always tend to try to step even further up to the leg. If it was the other way around, I would try to step as far forward to get on top of the leg. That is just gonna elongate your movements, your lines, and it will really look like the difference is usually the difference in my students is humongous when you figure out how to do that. For instance, if we did a side bend, you could just come here and it's fine. But what if you went there? You see the difference? Hopefully you do. So you need to figure out when you're dancing, how can I take it a step further than what I did yesterday? Now, the fourth thing is your arms. Too often I see dancers doing like this. No energy in the hands. They're dead. I think you need to always take the movement all the way out to your fingers. They make such a big difference. So if I was grabbing and pulling my hands up, I would really try to pull. Because it's your body, you're allowed to touch it the way you want. Like if I was rolling up through the body, actually I find that helpful. When I'm coming up here and I'm like actively pushing away because that's going to help me to push my hips to the back. The other option is to use your middle fingers. So you want to think about showing with your middle fingers what you're touching. Yeah, it can be your face, your body, it can be in the choreography, it can be in the air. Whatever you're doing, you can use your middle fingers because that's going to be gentle. It's going to have a different energy than this one. But you can use those and they make such a big difference in the performance. Other options would be having a fist. Sometimes you do fists when you're dancing. Sometimes you do a stop or straight lines. But you see here, even if my hand is like this, it still has energy. It's still going there. It's not like this. It's going, or even this one. The last thing that I want to mention is the head. Where you look, that's going to determine if there's a person watching you, that's going to determine where they're going to look when they're watching you. If you look them straight into the eye, you might catch some eye contact. If I look into my hand, most certainly they're going to look at my hand as well, or my hip. So try this for me. There's nothing wrong to look like a deer in the headlight. But I encourage you to try out different angles with your head. So for instance, if I was looking to the side, instead of doing this, I would actually tilt my head a little bit. You see, that's a different story then. Yeah, if I was doing a head roll, rather than coming up flat like this, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But what if you learn with this chin, with this side of your head, come up or even down? I would lean with this side of your head. Or when you're coming up like this, you want to think about putting your head onto the table. So if you have done these exercises with me, only with the chin. And not straight to the side. Sometimes you do that. Or straight to the front. You can always add a little tilt. And if you have hair, like I don't have a lot of hair, or I do, but it's short. Whenever you tilt your hair is most likely gonna fall out of your face. So if you do hair whips, if you leave your chin up, it's gonna force your hair to fall down. So we're gonna try this. First thing, we're gonna be in our small turn-out position. We're gonna extend the leg, a tandu, and close. 2 times to the front, 2 times to the side, 2 times to the back, and again 2 times to the side. Then we're going to do it with the opposite leg, to the side, to the back, to the side. Then we're going to add a weight transfer. So we're going to extend our leg from bevel to the side, shift. So from straight knee to straight knee, pointing our ankle and closing the foot. Extend, shift your weight, and close your leg. We do that 8 times. After that, we're gonna add a plie. Extend to the side, sit down, below the hip, extend your ankle, coming up, plie, extend your legs to the side, sit down, leading with the hip, push away, extend your ankle, and close it 8 times. After that, we're gonna add a plie, extend, leading with the body on top of the leg and close. Plie, extend, leading with the body back on the straight knee and close. Plie, look out, lead with the body, and we close the leg because we're pushing away from the floor. So in that one, I want you to feel that you're doing the biggest plie that you can. You push your leg as far out as you can. You make a really big wave with your body. And now we push away from the floor. Close our leg 8 times. After that, we're gonna add the arms. So, plie, extend, we go back to the first one. Hands are coming up. Extend the leg, close, back down. And now they go down the body. And you can decide, you can work either pressing with the hands or with the fingers, really soft with the middle finger. You do that one 8 times. And the hands are free. So even if they are in the air, you can use a lot of energy in your fingers, or they can be soft. The last thing is going to be with the head. You're going to start off by looking to the back, look to the front, extend the legs to the side, going into plie and up. And you are free to use your hands however you want. The second time. And now you can use your head to look wherever you want. After that one, we extend and we keep our knees straight. Go from the side, over the opposite side, and close. Look back, look to the front, hip roll. You can use your head however you want. Hip roll. After the second one, on straight legs, and over, opposite side, leading up with the head. So I think about leading down with this side, so I'm leading my chin up. When I go over, I come from the opposite side, leading up with the chin, and close and look back. We do everything 8 times, and as we're adding on those layers, try to hold on to them. So even if I'm doing this last one, I can still use my hands, even though the focus is going to be in my head, and I still use this technique of pushing away and really extending my leg. Here we go. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll see you next time. Ciao!